Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of Mona Reads. This is Mona Eltahawy, and as always, fuck the patriarchy. Today I'm reading from my second book, The 7 Necessary Sins for Women and Girls. The dedication. Make your heart too rebellious for patriarchy to plant itself within you. Make your mind too free for fascism to chain your imagination. Defying, disobeying, and disrupting the patriarchy. I wrote this book with enough rage to fuel a rocket. I knew I had to write it while I was still high on the glory of beating up a man who had sexually assaulted me. Who was this woman I had become, who looks men in the eye, seizing their gaze with my fury until they understood not to fuck with me? I wanted to figure her out. For years, I had been shedding shame and gaining fury. For years, I had been thumping away at patriarchy like a piñata, hanging tantalizingly just out of reach. It was stubborn, but my tenacity and ferocity became my ladder. This book is my instruction manual for smashing that piñata. Once upon a time, in 1982, I was a 15-year-old girl sexually assaulted twice, at Islam's holiest site in Mecca in Saudi Arabia, as I performed Hajj, the Muslim pilgrimage that is the 5th pillar of Islam. I had never been sexually assaulted before, and I froze and I burst into tears. I was ashamed, I was traumatized, and most crucially, I was silent. It took me years, before I could tell anyone what had happened when I was on my first Hajj. I did not know of the writer and poet Audre Lorde's work when I was assaulted. But as my feminism grew, I began to understand what she meant when she said, "Your silence will not protect you." Once more, your silence will not protect you. And so I began to speak. There I was at my computer in February 2018, sharing once again that I had been sexually assaulted twice during pilgrimage in 1982. And this time, the 4th time I was sharing my story, it was to support Sabika Khan, a Pakistani woman who had shared on Facebook her own assault in Mecca. I asked fellow Muslim women who felt safe enough to share their own experience of sexual harassment or assault, either while performing Hajj or in a Muslim sacred place. I added a hashtag to my post, #MosqueMeToo. Over 2 days, my Twitter thread was retweeted and liked thousands of times. It was shared in Indonesian, Arabic, Turkish, French, German, Spanish, and Farsi. I had never before seen such a response. At first, men demanded, "Why didn't you make more of a fuss?" Soon after, men went into full gaslighting mode, anything to persuade me I had not experienced what I had experienced, or else questioning my character as a way to undermine my story. For 5 days, women from around the world shared with me their most harrowing experiences of sexual harassment and assault at pilgrimage or other sacred places. For one night, I wanted some respite from that reckoning. So, 5 days after I launched #MosqueMeToo, my beloved and I went to a club in Montreal in Canada to dance it off, to revel in the sensual delight of moving my body to music, in the hope that all those beats per minute would be a balm to my traumatized heart. And there, in the middle of a crowded and sweaty dance floor, now at the age of 50, I felt a hand on my ass. I had exactly 2 thoughts. 1, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And 2, this is still happening? I remembered my 15-year-old self at Hajj, covered from head to toe with just my face and my hands showing. Now, on that dance floor in Montreal, I was wearing a tank top and jeans, but it didn't matter. Hijab or tank top, a man's hand still found me. And I was done. I was fucking done. Unlike in 1982, when I could not turn around to find my assaulter, I immediately spotted my creep, who had started to walk away. As if on autopilot, I followed him and I tugged so hard at the back of his shirt that he stumbled. When he fell, I sat on top of him and I punched and I punched and I punched his face. Once was not enough. And each time I punched him, I yelled, "Don't you ever touch a woman like that again. Don't you ever touch a woman like that again." While I was punching the man who had assaulted me, I could see from my peripheral vision my beloved talking to 2 men who had been dancing when I started beating the man and who were now preparing to pull me off my assaulter. Are you fucking kidding me? My beloved later told me the 2 men had wanted to stop me from punching the man who had assaulted me. No, he assaulted her, he told the 2 men. Let's call them the chorus for patriarchy. And he told them, she's got this. It had been a long time since I had experienced as much clarity as I did in those moments when I was beating up that man. I knew exactly what I was doing, defending myself, and exactly why I was doing it. I was done with men who gave themselves the right to do as they wished with my body. If at that most sacred of temples, the holiest site of my religion, I am not safe from predatory hands, where am I safe? If at that most secular of temples, a dance club, I am not safe, where am I safe? My beloved and I went to the bar to get some water. A man who appeared to be from club management approached us and asked me to tell him what happened. After I explained that I had beaten a man who had sexually assaulted me, he looked at my beloved and asked me, "Why didn't you let your husband take care of it?" Exactly at what age does my body belong to me? Patriarchy is so universal and so normalized that it's like asking a fish, what is water? It enables and protects men who sexually assault women, and it demands that only other men protect us. As long as we obey and behave in ways it approves, it will protect us. And if we disobey, you can be sure that that protection will be revoked quicker than you can say patriarchy. I do not want to be protected. I do not want to be protected. I just want patriarchy to stop protecting and enabling men. I don't want to be protected. I want to be free. Regardless of whether you live in an absolute monarchy like Saudi Arabia, or in a liberal democracy like Canada or the United States, regardless of what your religion is, or if you are atheist or secular, regardless of whether your country has been colonized or itself was colonized and exploited others, patriarchy lives everywhere. It controls how our society and institutions are organized and run, and it has legal implications for women, for non-binary people, and children who have less power than men. Patriarchy is universal. Feminism must be just as universal. I want patriarchy and all who benefit from it to have the same look of terror as that man in the Montreal club who, before he ran away, after I beat him up, took a look at me so that he could see the woman who had dared strike back. I want patriarchy to know that feminism is rage unleashed against its centuries of crimes against women and girls around the world. Crimes that are justified by culture and tradition, and it's just the way things are. All of which are euphemisms for this world is run by men and for the benefit of men. We must declare a feminism that is robust, aggressive, and unapologetic. One more time, we must declare a feminism that is robust, aggressive, and unapologetic. It is the only way to combat a patriarchy that is systemic. I also want feminism to be led by the non-white and the queer. I also want feminism to be led by the non-white and the queer, who don't have the luxury of fighting only misogyny. We must fight the multiple systems of oppressions that patriarchy often intertwines itself with, such as racism, bigotry, homophobia, transphobia, classism, ableism, and ageism. That's why I want feminism to be led by the non-white and the queer. After the fight at the club, and astonished at how my attempt to take care of myself after the intensity of Mosque Me Too had unfolded, because of course men this time around accused me of, don't you think you overreacted? So after I beat the man up at the club, I shared what happened to me and I created a new hashtag I beat my assaulter. All of that weekend, I was icing my bruised knuckles and hearing from women around the world who sent me their I beat my assaulter experiences. As with Mosque Me Too, so many women wrote to me and said, me too. I was in a club, at a bus stop, in school, here, there, and I beat my assaulter. Much like with Mosque Me Too, it was a global chorus of women who saw each other and recognized what it means to be done with the fuckery of patriarchy. With Mosque Me Too, I wanted to end the silencing and shaming of women who have been exposed to violence and abuse in sacred spaces, and to say, my body is sacred too. With I beat my assaulter, I wanted to fight back and say, if you grope me, I will beat the fuck out of you. It is my right to be free of sexual assault. And it is my right to fight back if I am assaulted. Ultimately, it is my right to defy, to disobey, and to disrupt the patriarchy. This is a moment for those who are not rich, are not white, and are not famous to be heard. It is a moment in which we must have a reckoning with patriarchy and in which we recognize how normalized its crimes are, as well as a reckoning with how it intersects with other forms of oppression. I am from many worlds, and I travel between many places. Throughout this book, I will share voices and stories from across the world about the ways women and queer people yell a big fuck you to the patriarchy. Words like feminism and resistance are being drained of their meaning when we offer them up as band-aids that offer temporary relief to women and girls against the vagaries of patriarchy. I have had enough of giving women and girls ways simply to survive rather than tools to fight back. The danger and fear that should emanate from feminism and resistance must not be stamped out. Feminism should terrify the patriarchy. One more time. Feminism should terrify the patriarchy. It should put patriarchy on notice that we demand nothing short of its destruction. We demand nothing short of its destruction. We need fewer roadmaps towards a peace treaty with patriarchy and more manifestos on how to destroy patriarchy. The 7 necessary sins for women and girls is my manifesto to destroy the patriarchy. Thank you very much for coming to my Mona Talks. This is Mona Eltahawy, and as always, fuck the patriarchy. See you next time.